back. Hope you're having a good day. I'm going to be repotting this rain tree, Brazilian rain tree today. About 2 weeks ago, actually it was exactly 2 weeks ago, I made some decisions about these two lower branches. They were sacrifice branches. I'd say a little more about it, but I made a little video for that. So let's do the Wayne's World thing and go back in time and check those out. This is a cutting I took in May. Well, this coming up May will be its second birthday or whatever, so it's just short of being 2 years old or whatever. I was going to keep these two branches as sacrifice branches and then try to keep this as a little flat top one day. But as it's kind of grown, these two branches have kind of grown on me a little bit in that I think I want to keep them. But this, if I move it a little closer, you might be able to see a little bit better. This one going this way is higher than this one and also bigger than the other one. So what I'm going to do now, and again this is just also kind of setting up for the repot here soon, is I'm going to cut this portion that started to go up, and then I'm going to wire, well I'm probably actually going to prune this one off too, and then I'm going to wire the rest of it out a little bit flat. Should give it some good movement. This should actually wire out a little flat with it. Over here, I'm going to prune just a little over here, but I'm going to just wire it down with that other branch and try to leave the momentum over here and hope that by the time I'm ready to actually start kind of shaping the tree into any kind of a final design or whatever, that this branch is either caught up to that branch or maybe even gotten a little bit thicker because I'm going to cut the growth off so much over there. I'm going to go ahead and take this off here. Thought about trying to time this out to take this as a cutting, but I've got I bought one of these about 3 years ago, and I've already got 4 from it, or 3 new ones from it, and then I still have the original one, and they really do take up a lot of room. They grow very fast. They take up a lot of room. I like them a lot, but they've also got the thorns, and to kind of let them really have their space, you got to have some places for them. You can't sit them on the ground around here because they'll get the nematodes that'll attack the roots. So you got to have them up someplace, and I just don't have really that much room for that much stuff. So yeah, when I wire that piece down, it'll still be coming up a little. It'll suffer a little from that cut, but hopefully that'll just kind of blend together one day. And then over here, this piece growing, actually I'd like to save that. I may actually prune, actually if I'm going to save that, this one would have to go. So I'm going to take that one off, but I'm going to leave these two as in, I say straight, it's got the momentum going straight that way. I do like the way that a rain tree gets its little zigzag with the growth as it kind of goes. So I'm going to wire this with this branch over here. I might get some secondary wire on the other one. We'll see here in a second. All right, wires on there to complete a thought from earlier. My idea here, I have been cutting this back repeatedly, and these two were originally going to be sacrifice branches, and then I was going to have this as a nice little tight apex, kind of a flat top type of a thing. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to keep these, and I'm going to keep it as like a 2 or maybe even a 3rd branch tree. There is a 3rd one right there. And so, big branch over here, big branch over here, and then just like some bare spot on the trunk, and then a nice tight apex. I'm going to keep cutting that back. So the idea of what I'm doing today, I cut that way back. I did prune off that one branch here. It needs a repot really bad. I almost repotted in like October, but I thought it was getting a little late in the season. I looked and it really wasn't that bad. But now it's really bound up in there. The water just kind of runs right on through. I know that sometimes they say when it clogs up or whatever, but it's almost just one solid root or massive spaghetti roots in here or whatever. So when I see this start to recover from the hard prune today, that should be about time, it'll be triggering lots of root growth and everything, and that should be right in the pleasant part of our springtime here. We've got tonight it's supposed to get, or actually not tonight, but tomorrow night it's supposed to get down to 40, and then the next week we're supposed to have another night down around 40, But then, you know, that starts February, and February is as warm as December is, but then also the days are getting longer too and everything. And so I hope I can just pick a nice warm spell in there when this thing starts greening back up, and I'll repot it in something bigger and wider for sure. I don't know if I'm going to try to get, you know, keep it in a training pot or in something ceramic yet or not, but we'll see. But anyhow, I know I'm not going to get any. This piece here is really lignified. It's kind of why I decided to leave it too, because it's in a decent spot. Then this, just because I cut all that off, just want to kind of guide that down. Already I kind of made it, I already went a little bit further than it was without the wire on there, but the wire does help hold, you know, brace the rest of it in place instead of just like moving it when you kind of test it before. I don't want to push my luck with that, although that did work out pretty well. And then over here, since I didn't prune this at all, I want to keep it down some, and I just really want to let that momentum continue on down here. And it's young and pretty flexible, and I got this other piece growing off that way, so I just want that down as much as I can. And actually, I forgot to put wire on there. I'm going to get some wire on there real quick. This is actually where I kind of get lost sometime in some of these things here. I don't want to cross wires. I really don't want to have to rewire too much more of this. I'm just using, you know, coming out on this one a little bit for an anchor. And I got smaller wire just to get this one too, so it can be bent into place with that. So I think if I come up from under there and then follow this wire around, I've got enough length there, yeah. So I got like 3 good turns on that branch. Don't want to fight those thorns any more than I have to. On these rain trees, since they grow so rapidly, I don't really worry about getting the wires super tight. What I do is just actually kind of loop it. Kind of got a little extra there, but that's okay. I just loop it through, or not through, but between the thorns or the nodes or whatever. There's a thorn at every node. And when you get them young like that and everything, and they're still super flexible, so it really doesn't affect it all that much. But I'm gonna get all the downward movement I can. And then just a little back and forth in there too. But that's it for the day. And then in a couple weeks, I'll come back. All right, and now that you kind of saw the thought process there of what it is I'm trying to accomplish here, I moved in a little bit closer. You guys can see the repotting action a little bit more. I would like to just kind of, I don't know if you guys can really see here, but some little buds starting to come in there. And, you know, for a minute, I mean, I saw all these leaves out here yellowing, and I know that happens every year. And, you know, but after the pruning and the wiring, I was a little worried, but you got little buds coming in out there too. So I figured no time better than the present. Just get it in another pot. It is going in a training pot. I was actually going to repot this thing last year, but I just kind of, you know, I pulled it up once. Roots didn't really look all that bad. I said, well, I'll wait a little while longer. Next thing I knew, it was winter. And all winter, this thing dries out so much quicker than all my other trees. You know, well, I mean, might as well stop talking about it and just take a look. Pretty much fully expecting this just to be a big solid wad of roots, and it kind of is. So let's see what I can do with it here. One of the things with rain trees, never really been able to see them to like show you guys. I don't really see any now, but they get nitrogen fixing nodules on them, I guess, on the roots, and so they suggest you really shouldn't bare root it to try to save some of that. And then they're also susceptible to nematodes, and so it's one of the things too, is they say usually sometimes when you see those nitrogen fixing nodules, they kind of have the appearance of being nematodes, but they're not. I've seen some pictures. I've seen some in some other people's videos. I've never really seen any myself, but they certainly do get the solid water roots there. And I don't know. It's healthy. I don't know why it always seemed like it was drying out so much quicker than all the other trees. But regardless, it was time for a repot anyway. This is a cutting. May, actually it would be this coming up May will be its basically second birthday. So it's a cutting less than 2 years old, about 3 months away from being 2 years old. All these long ones here aren't going to do me any good. But now I'd like to save whatever's left there. And before I got into this hobby, never would I ever believed that a cutting just a couple years old would really put out that many roots. Of course, this is about the only species I'd see like that many on. I'm sure that some of you guys up north, maybe some of your maples or something might grow like that, but I don't know. I understand I can probably grow like a swamp maple or a Florida maple, I guess. I'll just stick with what does well in my climate. I'm going to put it into one of my larger size rectangular training pots. See there where the bark's already flaking off just a little bit. All right, looks like this has a good potential to have a nice nebari on it one day. I don't really want to, still in training, so I don't want to dig too much, down too much more. Leave it just like that for now. I do want to flatten it out just a bit, so I want to make sure and get the longer ones off. All right, so I got the pot here ready to go. I got some wire in there to tie it down with. Wider than what it was in, not even quite as deep. I like these training pots with all those tie down holes in there or whatever. But I got no substrate in there yet. The wires are kind of in the way. Alright, that should work for about what I want there. And let's see how I got this one going. Now I've explained this before, and this is just, this is just what I do. You guys are always free to do whatever the hell you want to do. But when I tie these in, some people go through all these lengths to hide the tie wires. I leave them sticking up because I don't want to leave it in there permanently. I want to actually just allow the tree to get its grip in there, and then I actually cut the wires off because, I mean, here in the tropics, things develop so quickly. Eventually that would just kind of grow up through there and wind up cutting into the nebari and everything, where if I just wait for this thing to get really pot bound, cut it off, and it'll be fine. I mean, if anything ever really happens, like it gets knocked over with a storm or whatever, I can pretty much repot this almost any time of the year, so I can do an emergency repot pretty much whenever. But, some trees I don't tie in at all, I'd like to go ahead and get it tied in if I feel like it's appropriate, like it is on this one. All right, that's in there nice and secure. So all right, and that should just about do it for at least another year or two. See what happens.